evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town Board of the Town of Ossining regular meeting for April 12th, 2016. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. United States of America. One nation. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Jeffrey,
Present.
Councilmember DeTore,
Present.
Councilmember Wilshire,
Present.
Councilmember Feldman,
Present.
and Supervisor Levenberg.
Present.
Do we have any announcements this evening?
Do have some announcements. We have some exciting events coming up this week. The village has invited the public to the ribbon cutting for the Sing Sing Kill Greenway at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, April 13th, at the Community Center. Please come and join us. Following that, at 7:30, the Village of Ossining's work session at the Municipal Building at 16 Croton Avenue, there will be a presentation by Water Superintendent Andrew Teese to discuss the Indian Brook Water Treatment Plant, the water reservoir and dam reconstruction project, and the capital plans associated with providing the Ossining community with clean potable water. I encourage everyone to attend. As everybody knows, because we've made so many announcements, this Saturday, Green Ossining, in conjunction with the Village and Town of Ossining, is hosting an Earth Day Festival at Engle Park. It promises to be a beautiful day. This year's focus is on water, our precious and underappreciated resource. I hope you'll all take some time to go down to our beautiful Hudson River to enjoy an array of artists and artisans, eco-demonstrations and hands-on activities, a kids' activity zone, and so much more. Bring your e-waste or clothing for textile recycling, enjoy local foods and beverages, purchase rain barrels and compost bins, hear wonderful music, and enjoy performances and local art. Many of you will be there after the rescheduled Jesse Collier Baseball and Softball Opening Day Parade, which steps off from Roosevelt School also on Saturday at 8:30 a.m. So wear your sunblock and please join us. The Earth Day Festival is from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. From 2 to 5 p.m. on Saturday, there will also be educational programming for the public along the Sing Sing Kill Greenway that we are going to be doing the ribbon cutting for tomorrow, with experts there to explain the historical, environmental, geological, and engineering aspects of this project. Our own Captain Craven will be there doing historical, I believe. Correct? Okay, thank you. So there are lots of opportunities for you to experience this wonderful new public green space. Also at 2 p.m. and at 7 p.m. on Saturday, Ossining Schools PTAs are hosting the Harlem Magic Masters versus the O-Dribblers, which is a combination of staff and other folks, probably a couple ringers, in the Ossining High School, from the Ossining school staff, and they'll be playing in the Ossining High School gymnasium. A very special event will be added at the first game, honoring the OHS girls basketball team, with the Army National Guard acknowledging them as a championship team. A very prestigious recognition indeed. More information is available on the Ossining PTA website. The Ossining Documentary and Discussion Series is this Thursday night, featuring the film Flow, which is about the water crisis in this country and internationally, and what solutions are being considered. Following the film, you will have another opportunity to hear from Andy Teese about water in Ossining and how some technologies discussed in the film can be used to provide better water right here in our backyard. Property owners should be aware that the town taxable status date is May 1st. All new exemption applications must be received on or before that date. Furthermore, renewal applications for firemen's, elderly, enhanced star, clergy, and disability exemptions must also be received by May 1st. Finally, renewal applications for wholly exempt property such as churches and educational institutions must likewise be received by the assessor's office on or before May 1st. Today was also the first day to sign up online for Ossining's Town Summer Camp with the Recreation Department. Please check out their website through the Recreation and Parks tab on the town website or the villageofossining.org website. In Briarcliff this Sunday, the library is hosting Preserving New York, Winning the Right to Protect a City's Landmark, a presentation by Professor Anthony C. Wood, who will describe how New York City got its landmarks laws, from 2:30 to 4 at the library, co-sponsored with the Briarcliff Manor Scarborough Historical Society. Tax day is right around the corner, but this year you get a couple of extra days because of a holiday in our nation's capital, so they must be postmarked by next Monday, April 18th. There may still be time for you to get help with your tax preparation at the Ossining Public Library. First come, first serve. Sign up at the door, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Thursday. Everyone it's available to everyone. Please also take some time to weigh in about our community parks on our website. There's a survey on the townofossining.com website where you can add your opinion about what you believe would improve our town parks. As we discussed last week, you may have received notification about the Community Choice Aggregation electricity supply that will replace the Con Ed supplied electricity in Ossining and other nearby municipalities. The winning bidder for this was Con Ed Solutions, which is another energy company separate from Con Ed. If you do nothing, you will be participating in what may be one of the largest demands for green energy, which is Ossining's default, the green 100% renewable in the nation. We have partnered with 20 other municipalities to offer this to our community. If you do not want to receive this low-cost electricity supply, you can opt out, or if you are not currently being supplied by Con Ed, so therefore did not receive a letter from us, you may also opt in. You can call 855-4, number 4, the letter WC, and then POWER, which is 855-492-7693. Or go to westchesterpower.org for more information and to find out how to opt in or opt out. Our regular meeting includes accepting 2 sets of minutes, 2 sets of voucher detail reports, the very last, and this time I mean it, for 2015, 4 budget adjustments to finish out 2015, and then a resolution to assign the revised Snowden pilot agreement to Standard Property, the purchaser who presented to us at our last town hall meeting. As always, the last portion of our board meeting is visitor recognition. We acknowledge that many of you continue to have questions and concerns about the revaluation process in the town of Ossining. As you are aware, we have scheduled a town hall meeting next Tuesday, April 19th. We're still working on what time we're going to begin. We may begin a little bit early. It'll be at the Ossining Library, and there we will have some presentations and an opportunity for additional questions and an opportunity for some of our experts to respond to some of your concerns that you will be voicing tonight, if you do. We have invited Tyler Technologies, our independent monitor Michael Haberman Associates, and John Wallum from the New York State Department of Tax and Finance, Office of Real Property, and our town assessor, Fernando Gonzalez, to present answers to many of the questions that we anticipate gathering from you tonight, which we have already gathered to date, and also to have an opportunity for us to do our best to address as many of your concerns as possible. I hope I speak for the whole board when I say we have heard many of the questions that have been circulating and or read them online. We are trying to get as good an understanding as possible of what the implications are for taxpayers so that we can continue to do the best job to serve our entire community. We also wanted to make sure that you all know that we extended the day to set up an appointment with Tyler Technologies to have an informal review of the valuation that you received in the mail so that they can work with you, especially if you feel your new valuation estimate is not right. You have until this Friday, April 15th to make an appointment, and the appointments will go through May 6th. If you would like to submit a question in writing tonight, that's also fine. You can give that to us if you provide an email and it's something quick that we can get back to you between now and April 15th if it has to do with, or I guess between now and May 6th really, or when you have your meeting set up with Tyler and we can get back to you, we absolutely will. With that said, tonight, as I mentioned, we're going to be taking questions and comments, and we do have our town assessor, Fernando Gonzalez, Tyler Technologies, and Haberman Associates, or not sure Haberman Associates is here, but we have John Wallum from New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. They're not going to be answering your questions. They're going to be listening to your questions and preparing for the town hall meeting that we have next week. And we are going to ask that you keep your comments and questions to 3 minutes. We have a timer up here tonight to make it a little bit easier so that everyone has a chance at the microphone. And with that said, I'm going to turn it, ask if any of my colleagues on the board have any additional questions, comments. Sorry. Comments.
Announcements?
Announcements is also good.
Okay. So tomorrow, Wednesday, April 13th, there will be a naloxone training that Senator Carlucci, along with the Elks Club and Communities That Care will be putting on. It will be located at the New Elks Club. For all of us who lived here for a while, it's the old Swiss Brasserie. And that's going to be from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. And you can call the office tomorrow at 941-2041 to register, but there's ample room and anyone can show up if they would like. In case anybody does not know what naloxone is, it is the antidote to an opioid overdose. So I think that's it for now.
The street number for Brasserie Swiss.
It's on Croton Avenue. I just don't remember the actual
Croton
address.
Avenue.
Is it
19? Or
118 Croton Avenue? Thank you.
Thank you to our local press for having that information. We appreciate it, Mr. Cahill.
And for those residents who've been here a while, it's the old Riglionis.
Oh,
Oh, well, there you
okay.
go.
Okay. No further announcement?
Okay. Are there any public comments on any of the agenda items?
Excuse me, do we talk on the agenda items before we discuss it?
Yes.
John Perillo, 72 Havel Street, Ossining, New York. Agenda item number E, Snowden House Pilot Program. I go back in time. I was on one of the boards, I think in 1977, when this was done by the Halpern Corporation. And it's my understanding that this pilot program, according to what I'm reading, has a longevity of 30-plus years, 31 years. What is the assessment on that building, and what is the dollar amount if it wasn't a pilot program? As you know, there's a pilot program on the Harbor Square project. So do you have that information?
I don't have it with me tonight. I think we had it at that last meeting, so I just don't have it right in front of me. I can get that information to you.
Okay, so roughly they're going to be only paying $60,000?
It's basically 10% of the shelter rent, which is the amount that is paid, right, so it would be assessed on the rents paid, essentially, as a commercial property. So it's 10% of the shelter rents. And this is, again, the particular pilot that's being essentially extended with a couple of little givebacks from the new purchaser. The pilot that was currently in place would have extended through 2026. So this is, in essence, extending it for an extra 20 years, because 10 years from now is 2026. So in other words, with the new, I don't think they're a developer, purchaser coming in, it's extending it 20 years beyond what it would have been if they hadn't come in. They're going to be making a lot of improvements. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see that town hall meeting, but they're going to be making a lot of improvements to that property and still maintaining it at a low AMI for the folks who have been able to live there for many years and will continue. Many of them are Section 8, if not all of them are Section 8 recipients.
Is the condition of sale based, or one of the things based on you allowing that agreement to go on?
Absolutely.
So you don't have to do this?
Correct.
Okay. When you talk about the givebacks and the improvements, will a department like the building department or an outside agency catalog before and after? Because it seems like they're going to go through the whole building, all the apartments. And how do we know that this is being done? And will they take out building permits and, just like everybody else does when they do all these?
As far as I know, they would still need to go through the building permit program. A lot of that is, it's actually managed through the village because, as you know, the building is in the village. So I can't say that I have a 100% answer to that question, but I believe that they would still have to go through the building permit process. This doesn't preclude them from that as far as I know.
Okay, so I guess I wasn't clear. This is the powers to be, so to speak, that is going to allow this.
Correct.
It's under the village jurisdiction for the improvements.
Yes.
Okay, so would the village be monitoring the improvements?
Yes.
Okay, and how would they get that message? through your board?
You mean the message that you're interested in finding out how they're going to be monitoring
Well, I
them?
want to, it's a pretty,
We can take that back to the village and find
yeah,
out.
it's a pretty extensive give back, because of my understanding, and I don't have documentation, but I was told that if they were on a tax roll, they'd be paying, like $400,000 a year in taxes, and we're letting it go for 60 under the conditions that I'm reading.
Right.
So I want to make sure, or we should make sure, that the improvements are documented and they fulfill that obligation.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
I'm happy to pass that message along to the village, and also, just that we've all heard that comment now, and we'll make sure also from our perspective that that we work that into the agreement, that they fulfill that obligation. This isn't the contracted agreement, but so in other words, it even says in there that we still have a right to. The list is not exclusive, and the town board reserves the right to pursue any other additions or modifications to the pilot agreement as it may see fit. So if that's something that we can easily work in to make sure that they keep up their part of the bargain, I think that's a good suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Okay.
I just wanted to say, the village will know about this because all of the entities, the taxable entities, have to vote on this pilot. So it's not just the town of Ossining. The village of Ossining, the
School district.
school district, and
The
I
library.
think the library, all have to vote on this.
So
and
can one governing body stop this?
My understanding, because I have asked this question before, is generally all four have to agree. We had, Harbor Square was a different issue because the Westchester IDA kind of overshadowed the fact that all four didn't agree, but generally, if they don't get involved, all four have to agree. I will personally say, and I think the board members, we all think that keeping this affordable housing for workforce housing is important, because it definitely is a need that is being met. But in terms of your specific question to how the village of Ossining would know that they have to oversee it, they first of all have to vote for it, and second of all, their building department is always going to be the overseers of any kind of project where there's going to be changes. That's their job.
Well, I agree with you. However, because of the scope of that building and the amount of apartments in that building, I don't know if our local building department could absorb that within their daily, duties, because from what I'm reading, they're going to do a lot of work there. Seems like they're going to put new kitchens, bathrooms,
Yeah, but
the whole thing.
I think that's easily measured, because they're going to go into a couple of the apartments, basically see what it looks like now, and then to get the information as to what the upgrades are going to be. If you have, how many units do they have? 100, yeah.
Your mic's not on.
Oh, I thought I put it on. I'm sorry. So they should be able to, based on the schedule of improvements, work with the developer to make sure that they are inspected. They would have to.
Okay, because it's not uncommon that you could include an outside agency to do this, with bearing the cost, bearing, the new owner of the property.
The village may decide to do that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
They do have an outside agency? No. That's what.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
No, this is just for the agenda items. Hopefully, if you hadn't picked up an agenda, there should be one in the back and up front as well.
Anyone else? We'll move into the adoption of resolutions. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the March 22nd, 2016 minutes of the regular meeting as presented.
I'm sorry. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Resolved the town board of the town of Ossining hereby approves the April 5th, 2016 minutes of the special meeting as presented.
Have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Resolved, the town board of the town of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated April 12, 2016, in the amount of $4,005 for 2015 and $242,801.52 for 2016, for a grand total of $246,806.52.
Have a motion?
Moved.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Resolved that the 2015 budget is modified as described below. Transfer to general ledger account MT payroll tax 010-1980-0438 MCTM payroll tax $2. Transferred to the general account of 010-9010 0812 Social Security 010-1110-0454 Court Security $1,982. 010-1440-0413 Consultant $350 for an amount of $2,334 transferred to 010-9010-0812 Social Security. Employee benefits 031-9010 0813 Workers' Comp $400 transferred to account 031-9010 0815 Unemployment.
Have a motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Whereas the property known as Snowden House, located at 35 Snowden Avenue in the village and town of Ossining, was granted a payment in lieu of taxes in 2006, and whereas Standard Property Company, Inc. of New York, New York, is under a certain purchase and sales agreement dated December 17, 2015, to acquire the property, and whereas Standard intends to make a long-term commitment to the property and to the community, including the restoration of all units and exterior and interior common spaces, and most importantly, long-term affordability at the same AMI level as is currently served by Snowden House. And whereas in order to facilitate these long-term plans, including obtaining the necessary financing, Standard has made a request to assign, assume, and extend the current pilot agreement, and whereas the town of Ossining has administered this and all other pilots in Ossining, and is one of 4 local taxing entities that must approve any such extension or exchange or change in terms of the pilot, which such entities also including the Village of Ossining, the Ossining Union Free School District, and the Ossining Public Library. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining does hereby support assigning and amending the pilot agreement for Snowden House to include the additional terms and modifications set forth below. A, the pilot agreement shall be assigned to Standard. B, the pilot term shall run for a 31-year period from the closing of Standard's acquisition of the property. C, the annual payment by Snowden House shall be the greater of $60,000 or 10% of the annual shelter rent for the prior calendar year. Shelter rent being defined as consistent with the 2006 pilot agreement. D, the annual payment described above shall be accompanied by substantiation, I can't even speak,
Initiation.
of the shelter rents in the form of an audited financial document submitted no later than April 30th. Failure to provide such financials timely and in the form described herein and in the amended pilot agreement entered into by the parties shall render the property ineligible for the pilot in that year, and the property will be assessed at market rate for the purposes of calculating the coming year's town, county taxes, school taxes, and village taxes. In the initial year of the amended pilot agreement, 2016, and in year 2031, the property owner will pay an impact fee to each of the 4 local taxing entities identified above in the amount of $50,000 per entity in recognition of the impact that a pilot agreement has on the share paid by other property owners within the various municipalities. The impact fee is to be utilized for a community improvement project. F, the affordability restrictions as established by the New York State Homes and Community Renewal and the amended pilot agreement shall run with the land itself and not with the property owner. This list is not exclusive, and the town board reserves the right to pursue any other additions or modifications to the 2006 pilot agreement as it may see fit. Be it further resolved, the town supervisor is authorized to execute any documents consistent with this resolution to give effect to this resolution.
Do I have a motion?
So,
Okay, which one? One of you guys.
she's first, and he's second.
Karen moved,
So moved.
sorry.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Dottori moved, and Councilman Wilshire seconded. Okay, good. Okay. Is there any discussion? Anybody want to comment at all on this?
I just want to say, so it just says, if there were any changes, if any of the other taxing entities wanted any kind of change, you would come back to us with this before executing that? Okay.
I mean, I think that, hopefully if the change is something that, as Mr. Perillo mentioned, I think that, to make sure that they keep up their part of the bargain, I think that, that
Yeah.
be in keeping with and say if
Consistent
we,
with the
consistent
agreement.
with the agreement, unless there was something, again, that was outside of the scope of this. And I think that that was a really good suggestion, and we'll take it up with our council and with Standard. So, any other comments? I think it's, it's exciting that there's a company that does a lot of work with affordable housing across our country, that they have a proven track record, and that they're going to make significant improvements and also still maintain something that what I believe is a great asset to our community, which is a housing stock that we're in great need of. So I'm hopeful that all of the other entities will also support this, and with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
That concludes your resolutions for this evening. We'll move on to monthly reports. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby accepts the following monthly reports for the month of March of 2016. Town clerk's office, town building department, town supervisor's office, Dale Cemetery, and the tax receiver's office for February and March.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So,
That brings us to visitor recognition.
okay. So I would just ask that everybody take the time to sign your name, and I don't know if we have paper up at the microphone. Okay. You have a piece of paper over here. I'm Ms. Hatch, and if you want to just read off the names of people who've signed in. If you hadn't signed in and would like to make a comment, and you want to just raise your hand so that we know you want to sign in, that we can take you up after the next folks, okay? I just wanted to also make, I'm sorry, I just want to make mention that we also have a handout that talks a little bit about what the revaluation process has been. It also talks about what's still to come, and I think, are they in the back of the room? Are they right in the front? They're on the front chair. You can pick one of those up. There's also a little bit other information about assessments versus taxes, with which we had handed out, I guess, or had been handed out by the town earlier in the process that also might be helpful. This one page, front and back one page about the process, again, starts from April 2014 and takes you through the step 7, which is the final 2016 roll being published on September 15th. So you can take a look at what opportunity the public has to basically evaluate what their assessment is, and if they have an issue with it, how they can get some, somebody to evaluate if it's reasonable issue or not. And with that, I would ask.
Ellen Redeka, Han, 83 Ganung Drive. At the town hall meeting where they were looking at whether to continue with the county police or go to the village police, I expressed my admiration for the job the county police had done and their responsiveness when we call. The good news is we found the same responsiveness from the village. The bad news is we've had to call them, and so have my neighbors, a number of times because of noise issues at 25 Studio Hill Road. I just want to give a little bit of background because I know their cabaret license is up for renewal soon.
I think you might want to tell the rest of them what 25 Studio Hill
25,
Road.
that's part of what I'm, yes. 25 Studio Hill Road was Maison Lafitte, a sleepy little restaurant that started doing catering. The owner wanted to expand the restaurant and applied for a permit to do so. As a non-conforming use, this was not going to go down without the neighbors getting involved, and the neighborhood was quite adamant against it. It's a residential neighborhood, and this is a house essentially stuck in the middle of it that's now a restaurant. The owner sold the property, and the new owner started holding loud parties outside. The police came, and the owner sued, claiming that the only reason people complained about not being able to live in their homes was because he's Muslim. This went on, and there was a settlement, and part of that settlement and the lawsuit was to determine what the prior use of that property had been. This was critical because as a non-conforming use, they cannot expand it. The rights that people in a conforming use have do not apply in a non-conforming use. It was determined that they were allowed to use the first floor of the building for commercial purposes and the patio. At the time, that was the flagstone area. They didn't have the large grassy area. That was done afterwards without a zoning hearing, which means it is not allowed to be used because it would be an expansion of a non-conforming use. Recently, in addition to the noise, and recently being late last summer, actually, they were actually holding parties outdoors on the lower grassy area. I have pictures of people sitting there and the kids waving to me. Again, this is not allowed. It's a non-conforming use. It is critical that the town board, when they talk to the current leaser, discuss with them and make them aware of what is in the settlement and what their responsibilities are. They are not allowed to hold parties on the grassy area. They are not allowed to be using that for commercial purposes. The second floor was used by the prior owner as living quarters. It is not allowed to be used for commercial purposes. That is part of the settlement. I have a copy of the settlement. I suspect the town also has copies of the settlement since they were the party to the lawsuit. So I'm coming to you today before this cabaret license is up for renewal so that this can all be addressed, and when they do come in for renewal, that it can be a smooth process. This will all have been taken care of, because as a taxpayer, I very much do like having commercial properties in the community. It helps all of us, but it must be done in a way that does not destroy the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
3 minutes was up. Apparently it does.
Yeah, I thought it was a smoke alarm too.
Good evening, members of the board. John Perillo, 72 Havel Street. About a year ago, Marcia and I had a conversation with the then supervisor, Sue Donnelly, happened to be in Lucy's Pizza, regarding the reassessment. And in that conversation, it was her adamant thought that the reason that this was being done, because 1,862 condominiums were not paying their fair share. As people may or may not know, condos are considered a commercial property, and they pay around 55 or 60% of what single-family dwellings do. So it was her thought to bring them in line with single-family dwellings. That did not happen. Because of a contested election in November, it was the thought of you, Dana, that you were not going to enact the Homestead Act. My point is that without that potential revenue, we, the rest of the people, are bearing this expenditure. Now, and that was confirmed with, I had a conversation with a representative from Tyler Industries recently. So where do we go from now, from this point on? Because people are being impacted. That one-third, one-third, one-third is really not working out. There is a flawed process here, and I suggest to the board that because of the expenditure of the nearly $2 million, that you consider at least have a phase-in of possibly over 5 years with this here full reassessment. That will give the opportunity to the people that have been financially impacted to either put their house on the market, to adjust to the financial impact, and it'll soften the blow, so to speak, to the majority of the residents. So I understand, her point at the time. I understand the concept at the time, but the reality is that without that revenue or potential revenue that would have brought in, we, the rest of the people, would have had a less impact of all of this. So that's a matter of fact, and that's the reality of what's going on. I know that I still get a lot of calls. I just refer them to the town people, because that's nothing I can do from the outside. So I know you're having a special meeting next week, and I don't know if that's in the cards or in some thoughts process that you may have want to consider, but I strongly suggest that that may be an option for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I know. I need earplugs.
Is there anyone, Maddie, you've got the.
Wind them. You could just state your name again when you get to the microphone, since I think the Hatch has one.
I'm Ira Weinbaum. I'm 12 Brookville Avenue here in Ossining. I was looking at the Town of Ossining Assessment Disclosure Notice, and I noticed that it's erroneous in showing the school taxes that I'm paying, the actual, not the estimated. I'm questioning the validity of that whole format that was used, on top of which I'm looking at what potentially would have been a 20% increase in my taxes from 16 over the 15, the way it's calculated. I think there has to be something wrong if that's what we're really going to be seeing. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, council people. This is Mike Milner, 13 Cedar Lane. I want to say first thanks for the effort that you guys have put forward with the other communities to do the consolidated electrical purchase using green energy. I think that's a great program. It's nice we don't have to do anything. We can opt in just by getting our letters and acknowledging it. So I want to thank you for that effort. The second thing I want to do is comment about what a couple others have commented about regarding the assessment. My major concern and the point that I'd like to make, and sort of I know you're worrying about questions or taking questions, I think it is a flawed methodology. And I'll share just a couple quick things. Last summer, I think it was July 17th, I was at the meeting that Melissa presented, the Tyler meeting, and I asked her a question then because she gave the flowery overview of what is coming with the assessment, and that is that, fair and equitable, and that was important. Location of your home to shopping and transportation hubs and so on, that was all important. And I asked her a very pointed question that, frankly, I thought she danced around, and that was, what about the negative factors? What about crime? What about traffic? What about noise? What about the things that are detractors from your home value? So looking at my assessment, I'm compared with 5 homes, none of which are on Cedar Lane, on the low end of Cedar Lane down by Highland. They're actually up in Crotonville. They're up along the river looking down at this beautiful Hudson River. So I think that's a concern. No one's looked at the traffic. I can't get out of my driveway in the morning. No one's looking at the motorcycle shop right behind my house. So I think there's a flawed methodology when the comps are not comped in that space. I want to point out my father-in-law's home, Simon Benavides, 24 Camp Woods Road. He is a two-family home with 3 sides of his home is commercial property, and he's comped with 4 single-family homes and a 3-family home that are all in commercial or in residential areas. There's no comp there. So I understand the toughness that they had in trying to find homes that have sold within that window and finding comps, but there's a clear flaw to the methodology, and I want to go on record of saying that. And I look forward to meeting next week as well, having an opportunity to share some other things that I'm finding as I dig deeper into my own reassessment. Thank you.
Good evening, Frank Lavaglia, 11 Birch Court. First, on a positive note, I want to thank the supervisor for helping me obtain my property assessment record. So thank you for that. But upon receiving it, it just raises a lot of questions. One is, why don't we all have access to that? It would have been helpful to have this report before I met with Tyler Technologies. I did not. I don't think the rest of the community is aware it's out there. And then upon receipt of it, it just raises a whole bunch of questions. There's no sheet to explain the various factors. One of the more important things on there is grade, condition of your home. Now, I found this out when I met with Tyler only because I asked some pointed questions, and I'd say it was actually extracted during that meeting. And the question is, well, what does that mean? So when you look at your property report card, there's no explanation. How did they reach that level, that grade, excuse me? And then that also raises the question then of who are these individuals going around and then making that determination? It's my understanding that they are not, licensed assessors. So I don't know who's doing that and how they're making that determination. And then that raises the overall question of, so I'm fortunate enough where I can afford to get an appraisal. I don't want to spend $450 on it, but that's probably where we're going to head. But why is the burden then on us as Ossining residents to, refute? It's pretty shoddy work product. We paid $2 million, and it's really mass appraisals done on the cheap. $2 million is not cheap, but the work product is pretty bad. And then that raises the question of, I'm fortunate enough to do that. What about the senior citizens that are on fixed income? Who's going to speak for them? Who's going to provide an appraisal for them? Because it looks like that's where we're going to head. And then the last question is, I know there's a lot of information out there, but it goes more towards a database, a creation of a database, not just what Tyler Technologies put out there, but the whole property assessment report, all of the comparables, and then what I think would be helpful is what I think a lot of us are used to when you get a mortgage or a refi, and you get your comparables, and you don't need someone to explain it to you. For the most part, it goes through and shows you the additions, the subtractions, and you're able to see how they got the ultimate assessed value as compared to the comparables, and that we didn't get with the Tyler. And one last question. I know for the just real quick, 30 seconds or less. The Ossining Property Revaluation Association. I know we submitted some questions informally through email to the board. Is that something we have to do more formally to have all that addressed?
No, we already have those questions.
And will anyone here be attending the Thursday meeting at 7:30 at the rec center?
I'm not available. I'm not sure about.
I am.
Holly's available.
Okay.
I
All
will
right.
be there to write down the questions that you guys, sorry, I'll be there to make notes on the questions that you guys formulate during your meeting.
Okay.
And I will be bringing them back to the people that have the knowledge to answer them.
All right. Thank you.
And we'll be bringing you the answers on the 19th.
Okay.
Are there any additional questions? Anybody who didn't sign up that wants to sign up right now? Okay. Okay. Let's.
Good evening. My name is John Van Steen. I live at 78 South Highland here in Ossining, New York. I was pleased to see the sheet that you put out regarding the total value of the properties in Ossining, and it would be nice to have that valuation come out with the reassessments that are done in the notices, the revised notices that come out before the 1st of June, to give the taxpayers an idea as to whether the assessment that has already been sent out would be high or low. For instance, my property went up 10% in value according to the assessment. That's based on 2015 values. If the properties in Ossining are 10% more valuable, according to Tyler now, than in 2016 than in 2015, that's a 9% tax deduction. So it's this type of math that may go out and make a clearer statement so that some of the confusion is taken out of this process. A second question that I have is that reviewing a number of the values of homes that I've seen in Tyler as compared to the 2015 assessments, it seems that the underlying land value in comparison to the building value is quite a bit higher, or sort of out of proportion to what I would expect. And this is certainly true in certain areas where, for instance, we have a CDD zone. I believe that that's a commercial development zone, in which it's single-family residences, but the underlying value of the property there is valued at roughly $300,000 per acre, versus the adjoining properties that are right next door and in preferable residential sections that have underlying land values of $90,000 an acre. So I do think that this CDD zone may be something that Fernando could address as to what it is, where it is, how many of these are in Ossining, and how many of these are in residential areas as far as Ossining is concerned. Thank you.
Eric Schatz, 24A Hamilton Avenue, Realtor. And I would agree that the 10% has happened. I'm glad that that's recognized. The mean and sometimes the averages don't show it quite so truly because of late a lot of the lower priced properties have been made available by the banks who didn't want to flood the market with them before and have now put them on the market. That being said, be careful what you wish for. In the past, for assessments, older properties were given what they called depreciation, where their assessment was reduced somewhat because of the age of the house. I'll take as an example my parents' house that our family owns outright now. With the $22,000+ in taxes that are now proposed for the house, and the heating costs, it would, without a lick of maintenance on the house, it would be upwards of $30,000 for someone to own that house. To have that depreciation figured in, it had to do with the amount of maintenance that these properties needed, the inefficiency, the expense of heating them, and now that the assessments are going to be put up as high as they are, there will not be any money available for one person after another to maintain their properties at all. And so what will happen? Well, the remaining single-family antique homes in Ossining are going to be converted to multifamily, and they'll be putting out children like crazy. The people who would have stayed in the community after their children were graduated from schools and so on, and would want to stay here, they'll be going. It's a slow-motion train wreck. The antique properties in Ossining are what give the community its look, feel, flavor, and that's going to be destroyed. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Might I have a motion to adjourn?
I was just going to just remind everybody that next week we'll be getting out the announcement for what time our town hall meeting will be. April 19th, Tuesday, it'll be at the public library, and we will take into account all the questions and comments that people raised tonight. And one last reminder, you have until this Friday to make your appointment with Tyler. We continue to encourage everybody who has an issue to please do so, and those will go on through until May 6th. Thank you very much, and now.
Might I also remind everyone that primary day is on April 19th. Polls are open from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. at your normal polling place.
Very much. Somebody make the motion.
Northern
Second.
Maiden,
Councilman Wiltshire.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, aren't you really, are you going to make a
Oh, I'm
motion
sorry.
to go
We're
into
making a motion
executive
to go
session?
into executive session, so let's try one more time. I have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I thought Mr. Wiltshire was going to say nay. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. We're now going to executive session. For, did we have it on there for what we're going in for? Okay, thank you.